I'm Chris Story, and this is the Alaska Real Estate Podcast, courtesy of the Alaska Association of Realtors. Welcome to the program, and a big thank you and happy birthday to Alaska USA Title Agency. They've been with us from the beginning of this program. I want to thank Crystal Patola and the entire crew at Alaska USA Title Agency. Find out why so many realtors and clients are saying, yes, let's close at Alaska USA Title Agency. They're online, akusatitle.com. And, of course, your partner in Alaska real estate all over the state, Alaska Housing Finance Corporation. I want to thank them for also being here with us. And as we go into our third year of doing the Alaska Real Estate Podcast, AHFC, always there with you and your clients, great loan programs, and, of course, the energy rebate program, akrebate.com. I get that quite a bit, actually. You know, well, what's going on? Is there still money in there? Yep. And go akrebate.com. Check it out. And inform your clients, and, of course, always those great housing programs. And I love their commercials. I love the marketing that Alaska Housing provides all over radio, television, print media, everywhere, because guess what? They're promoting you at every turn. Thank you, Alaska Housing Finance Corporation. Now, this podcast today is a little different. It's unusual, and I don't know that a podcast has ever taken place quite like this one. I want to introduce you to a realtor in Concord, Massachusetts.
I'm going back to Massachusetts. Something's telling me I must go home.
The lower part of Alaska is in the same climate as New England, I think, isn't it?
You nailed it, Steve. Today it's about 40 degrees. It's raining. We've got a river running outside the studio where I'm talking to you from right now in the ditch. It's very unusual, and yet, wait a minute, and tomorrow it could be snowing. We could have 3 feet of snowdrifts and people stuck in their own driveways. You just never know. Listen, so I've got a letter in my hand here. It's written by you, Monday, January 11th, 1999, says, Dear Donna Ray, I'm writing to follow up with you to make sure you received the packet of information that was mailed to you. I hope the 15 powerful and insightful questions to ask a realtor before you sign any contract was also a benefit. And you'd mailed her a couple of other things in this packet, Steve. And sort of the background for those listening is essentially this Donna Ray Faulkner moved to Alaska and hung on to this letter, hung on to some of the other marketing materials sent to her by her fantastic, her words, realtor Steve Zippen. And so she hung on to them all these years, and in 2014 thought it would be a really good idea, she was going through some files, to deliver these marketing materials, Steve, to me, her favorite Alaskan realtor, and it inspired me to say, you know what, I got to reach out to this guy. What kind of realtor would make such an impact on somebody that, A, she would save these materials, and B, think enough of you and the job you did in these materials to bring them to me these 15 years later. So welcome to the program, Steve Zippen.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's when you called me the other day, it was kind of like, wow. I mean, you know, it's quite flattering to have someone do that. So I appreciate the phone call.
Well, you know, I mean, it's a couple. I mean, we understand as realtors. Look, this is a relationship business. We are building relationships with people. Give us a little background. How did you get by this? By the time you wrote this letter in 1999, you said you'd been in real estate for 11 years at that point. How did you get introduced to the sales, the real estate sales business, and what's your background?
Well, it's kind of, my background is I have a master's degree in vocational rehabilitation counseling, which I got from the University of Connecticut. And what my prior career, because most of us, I don't know very many people who went to college saying, I'm going to graduate with a major in real estate sales. I mean, you know, like most people, I started out in another industry, and what I did was I managed sheltered workshops for the mentally retarded and disabled, and I did that for about 14 years, and kind of realized that was the world of non-profit organizations, and you just don't get paid much. There's not much opportunity to save for, you know, the basics in life like sending your kids to college and going on some, on a vacation once in a while. So I started looking around for another career, and interestingly enough, then coincidentally, my wife and I were looking to buy our first house, and we were in this car with this real estate agent who was showing us around town, and Lexington, Massachusetts, which is another town not too far from here. And she had all this real snazzy jewelry on. She had a fancy car. And I kind of looked at my wife and said, hey, you can make a good living selling real estate. And and so I sort of like pursued it and ended up, getting involved. I happened to get into the business in 1987, and I don't know how long you've been around, but you may recall that there was we were in the middle of a recession in 1987, not as bad as the one we're coming out of now, but a pretty bad recession. And so that's kind of like when I started, and I just kind of learned from the get-go. If I didn't hustle, no one was going to give me the business, and and that just sort of carries on. Once you develop the right habits.
I wonder if that isn't an entry, that trial by fire you just described, basically to enter into the business at a low point. I wonder if that doesn't serve you going forward to, as you say, to learn to hustle, but also to understand that the Lord giveth and can taketh away in any market, and a normal market does go up and then come back down. That probably has served you well, I imagine.
It has served me very, very well. It's like, at first you kind of like panic a little bit. It's like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills?
Right.
But then you kind of, after one or two cycles, you kind of realize, hey, it's like if you just keep doing the job, take care of people, treat people fairly, and provide them with a really great service, they'll refer their friends to you. And certainly when the market's hot, you tend to do better. But when the market goes down, in fact, and many times I kind of feel like I do better in a market that's gone, that's declining, because that's when people need a good real estate agent the most.
It's a couple of things. On this Alaska Real Estate Podcast, we're doing a series on the secrets of closing the sale. And in your letter, I believe, highlight one of those secrets, and that's to ask for that referral. That asking you asking here, if you know anyone else that could benefit from these marketing materials, please give them my number. And that's part of it, isn't it? Is it whether it's an up, down, or indifferent market, if you don't ask for the referral, you don't ask for the business or the close, you're not going to get it.
Absolutely. And look, Donna did that 15 years later. She passed my stuff on to you. So
exactly.
That's
it
right.
Works.
You have to ask for the business, have to ask people to remember you, but you also need to stay in front of people. I mean, I'm not sure how long at some point I do a monthly newsletter I've been doing for like 15 years. And I don't know if she's still on my list. I found her in my database. I think at some point I found out she was moving to Alaska, and she, and I didn't expect that she was going to send me any business at that point. I think the fact that I stayed in touch with her for as long as I did, kind of ingrained me in her psyche as like, when she thinks of real estate, she'll always remember me.
That's right, and that was until she met me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Now we're fighting over her. No, that's absolutely true. Now, listen, one of the documents that you had provided her was the 10 real estate truths, and this is 1999. I thought it'd be fun to fast forward 15 years later, and let's go through a few of these truths and see if they still hold true, shall we?
Sure, go right ahead. Yep.
All right, top of the pyramid here, number 1, your first offer is almost always your best offer. Still true?
Yep, still true. Yes, yeah. Common mistake that sellers make. And just an aside about these truths, when I tell people, when I hand them to them, because I still use them, because they're still valid. There's no way. If someone were to ask me to prove these truths, how can I provide proof that your first offer is almost always your best offer, and some of the other ones that are in here? all I can do is tell you that it's one of those things that you know that you know that you know, and it's just based on experience. So, but they are all so true, and I've had that same experience that you had with sellers saying, well, let's wait. We get an offer really fast. Let's wait because maybe we priced it too low, or we certainly don't want to leave any money on the table, and almost inadvertently they end up selling their house for less than they would have if they had taken that first offer.
And let's get to truth number 8 then. A dramatically overpriced home discourages offers. I agree with that. That's still very true.
Yeah, and number 8 and number 9 kind of for me go together. Like an overpriced home discourages offers, and the more you encourage lowball offers, the lower the offer you'll get if you get one at all. It's kind of like when you overprice the house, what happens is it sits there, and again, still very true in this market, it sits there, and and then eventually what happens is the seller ends up reducing the price, and then they start encouraging, now they start getting desperate, and they start encouraging, tell their agent, hey, just tell people we'll consider an offer, just make an offer. And of course now you've got a buyer saying, they're desperate.
Right.
I can probably really get a steal. And so the buyers start coming in with offers that are way below, again, what they would have been if they had priced it right to begin with. So, yeah.
Now, Steve, you on your documents here and on this letter to Donna Ray, you've got your web address, and you had your own website in 1999. And I wasn't in real estate in 1999. I was a full-time potter, and that's what I did. And I was exploring the internet at that time, but I wasn't fully utilizing it. Did you get way out ahead in your real estate career and early adopt a lot of the new technologies?
Yeah, I mean, I've always embraced the technology. A lot of people are, especially when it first started, were afraid of losing. Why are people going to need agents, realtors, if they can see everything online? And that kind of an attitude. But I've always embraced it because I've always felt like, the more information you can give a consumer, the better they're going to, not only the better the decision they'll make, but the more they're going to really appreciate you and need you. And yeah, so I've always been kind of a rebel when it comes to things in terms of marketing and advertising, and there was certainly that was the case with the internet. I've had that website, that domain name, stevezippin.com, forever. I can't remember when I haven't had it, and it really that's in today's world, my Lord, we just came up with, my company just came up with a mobile app that now people can just drive by houses any place in Massachusetts, and it'll automatically pull up anything that's for sale within a 7-mile radius. It's crazy what you can do with this stuff, but that's what consumers today demand, and you gotta. If you're not doing that stuff, it's going to make your life a lot more tough, a lot more difficult.
Steve Zippin, you're in Concord, Massachusetts, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a link to your web address below this podcast. So anybody listening, you can just click on the link below and go right to his website. It's been a real pleasure, and I love hearing your tales of how you look at real estate, and your accent is great as well. And so anyway, and we'll continue to keep in touch with you, and we'll see what's going on in your life later on down the road.
That would be great. Would love to hear from you again. You have a great year.
Well, that's it for our program. Don't forget, it's not too late for you to register for the Hawaii, or I should say it's not too early. It's not too early for you to register to go to Hawaii and be part of that convention this coming year. That's going to be exciting. And keep an eye out for a little micro podcast with Angie Talent explaining all the details and where you can go get more information and so forth. Thank you to Sandy Ehrenman, our executive producer here at the podcast. For all of us here at Alaska Real Estate, I'm Chris Story, wishing you health, wealth, and prosperity.